Welcome to the Writer Reads Flash Fiction from another 365 days of flash fiction. This is month 5, day 21, Finding Work. Where are you going, bro? Taryn bounced in Malk's footsteps, staying just out of arm's reach. Not your bro. Taryn's small face fell and Malk's heart caught. Kid was on her own. Nowhere, he allowed, hurrying on. He didn't want to be late. So you got to know where to be, right? Taryn persisted. She regarded him, her eyes hopeful and hopelessly big. "'Cause I needs you." Melks glanced helplessly in the direction he needed to go, and the girl didn't try to block him. She just said, "Please." With a sigh of regret, he stepped out of the main walkway and crouched so he was eye level with the little wretch. "What is it?" "The shuttle's come," she told him, her voice dropping to a whisper, equal parts of fear and hope warring in her tones. Malks sighed. Typical that her big chance should come the same day as. But he'd promised. Damn it all, he'd promised. Rising to his feet, he held out his hand. "Show me." Giving him a worried glance, Taryn seized his fingers in her own and towed him down one of the side streets, releasing her grip as soon as she knew he'd follow. "This way," she insisted, bolting toward the shuttle field. A different part of the shuttle field to where he'd been aiming. "This way." He broke into a trot to make sure he kept up, reaching out and snagging her back before she could run headlong into the street running the shuttleport's perimeter. "There," she told him, small arm thrust out, shaking her pointer finger at it. Her voice rose with urgency. "It won't stay long." So close yet so far, Malks thought, checking for surveillance cameras and guards, noting how far the patrol had gone. If there were more of us, we could get her through easy. He didn't say no, though, but examined the fence once more. There was an access gate a few panels down, but he didn't have a pass for it. There was one thing he could try, though. "Reckon you can get through and make the shuttle if I make a nuisance of myself?" he asked, giving Taryn a conspiratorial smile. Her little face pinched. "They'll hurt you," she whispered, far too perceptive for Malks's liking. He shook his head and forced his grin to broaden. "Not me, little tars. I'm unbreakable, remember?" It was a blatant lie, but he'd built it on an escape he'd made when they first met, and she might still believe it. She scowled. "Okay." He patted her shoulder. "Good. Now go pretend you don't know me." Her lower lip trembled. "But we won't get to say goodbye." He squeezed her shoulder. "Silly. This is our goodbye. Now go. Fly well, little tars." This time he pushed her away and she ran, and he swore he heard her stifle a sob. Malks moved out of the side street a bit after, slouching as he walked and casting sneaky side glances at the cameras, the exact kind of glances they'd be looking for. By the time he reached the gate, they'd be on their way to intercept him, but not before he'd created a diversion. And Taryn was right. The shuttle was getting ready to lift. They'd only have one shot at it. Good thing Spacers came regularly to the gate then, wasn't it? All he had to do was time his approach so he went through right on the heels of the next arrival. "Hey!" The man hadn't come down the last shower, pivoting and seizing Melks by the scruff. "Where's your authorization?" Melks gestured at the shuttle Taryn needed. "I forgot my pass, and the boss." The man grinned. "Pull the other one. It plays jingle bells." "It can pay Fuchs Fandango for all I care," Melks retorted, "but the captain'll have my ass if I miss my ride." Something brushed the back of his leg, and he resisted the urge to look. When the man went to glance beyond him, Melks kneed him in the gut and doubled him over, swearing when the man didn't let go. He laid both hands on the guy's well-muscled shoulders, trying to twist free, and the Spacer's grip tightened. "Dawson's pride doesn't take stowaways," the Spacer said, not letting go as he straightened. Behind Melks, a familiar voice rose in a squeal of frustration. "Put me down!" "Tars," Melks breathed, then turned to the Spacer. "Look, that's her shuttle. She got lost. I Put me down!" Melks winced at the pitch. Please, he began, just as a hand descended on his shoulder. Shuttleport security. We'll take him from here. Melks went limp, closing his eyes in defeat. Taran was right. He really was going to get hurt this time. Dosen! Report! Taran ordered, making the spacer's eyes widen in surprise. You report to me now! An apology is required, Taran Dosencourt, the shuttle replied in imperious tones. Yes, Taran agreed. You apologize for leaving me behind. Melks turned his head, staring at the girl in surprise. She might be dangling by another spacer's hand, but she had her arms folded and a look of sheer stubbornness on her face. You did not return on time, the shuttle retorted. Your leaving was not deliberate. The scheduled Taran unfolded her arms long enough to make a talking mouth with each one. She flapped them about. Delivery had to be met. I know. Blah, 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 she mimicked in shrill, mocking tones. You left me. She used her foot to help her pivot to look at Melks. You tell them, bro. Sir, the Port Authority interrupted, shaking Melks to silence. We can take them from here. The spacer looked from Taran to Melks and then to the Port Authority. No need. Crew discipline is a ship matter. We'll take it from here. He shook Melks free from the man's grip and propelled him toward the shuttle. Sir? The other spacer asked as he approached. Get her on board, he snapped. Radio ahead. We've got the children and we're coming home. He didn't speak again until he had Melks and Taran sitting at the back of the shuttle and the rest of the crew had arrived. You kept her safe? He asked, looking at Melks and jerking his head at Taran. Melks blushed and ducked his head. I saw she had a place to sleep. And food, Taran put in. You made sure I ate it. The man sighed. It's 8, Taran. And did you? He asked Melks. The boy shrugged. She's only little. They wouldn't have served her. They'd have taken me away, Taran put in, and Melks ducked his head. He hadn't been going to tell them that. The crewman regarded him with amusement. Always wanted a sister, have you? Melks shook his head. Not exactly. Liar, Taran scolded, kicking his shin. Melks looked at the sailor. Why am I here? How much of a beating were you about to get? Melks looked away, and Taran poked him. You are not unbreakable, she said solemnly. Melks's jaw dropped, and the sailor chuckled. She tell you she was Psy? Not, Taran muttered, looking away and blushing. Then you can't possibly be mine. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, but Taran leapt for the nearest camera. Am so, am yours, echoed in Melks's head, even as the little girl screamed, Am so too. Melks winced. So her mother already knows what you gave up to get her here, the sailor added, tapping his earpiece. Troubadour isn't the only one who needs more crew. He flicked a glance at Taran and lowered his voice. And this job comes with a little sister who probably won't take no for an answer.